being held on September 21st at 2023 at 7:30 has been provided in the course of section 3D of chapter 231 of the public laws of 1975, commonly known as the Sunshine Law. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Try to time the date will be recorded. Roll call, please.
New York,
Here.
Nelson, here, Keith,
Yeah.
Kenny,
Here.
so Ramsey is excused.
No motion open to the public, agenda items only.
I make a motion to open a public for agenda items.
Mayor, I just want to finish the roll call.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah, you stop.
Mr. O'Brien is excused, Decker,
Here.
Mooney, here, Mitchko. Here, thank you.
So can I have a motion in a second?
I make a motion to open the public.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Questions about the agenda?
Then Walter for 24 Charles Corner, just for resolution 2023-86. I just didn't understand, can you, when you get to it, can you describe, like, say why you had to do this and what it's for, just for clarification?
For Robert's rules, I ask for a motion in a second, and then we'll discuss before we take a vote.
Okay, just for my clarification.
I'll pull it down.
And then for this, the salary question, I just have a question when you get to that, resolution 2023-84. So for the people that were retired, resigned in this year. So I just didn't understand how that works because it's salary 2023, but they didn't work for the whole year. So shouldn't it just be showing the portion of the months that they did work in 2023?
You show the top, the top end of what's allowed to be paid for those positions, not what they're actually paid.
Because does it add it up? I guess if it's not added up, then that makes sense, but it just gets confusing, like for partial salaries, because you have 1, 2, 3, 30,000 for tax collectors, so it just gets very confusing.
Well, yeah, we shouldn't exceed that combined theoretically.
Right.
And so that's like, so the resolution is binding us to these numbers as the top end, not what the actual person is, or position, I should say, the person, the position is getting paid.
Hmm. So then would you cross out the ones that are retired then? Because
They eventually drop off. I don't know the document said, I'm not sure how long we need to keep them, but I think they're supposed to be down there for at least a year after.
Right, so for 22, we have the 22 and then the 23 salary. So like for the tax collector.
yeah,
So Karen who came on, so she's making 30,000. She replaced Eloise. Eloise was hired at 30,000. But then if you look at the bottom, it tells you in full on the second page that Eloise resigned August 11th and that Karen was hired August 14th. So the salaries for Eloise ended on August 11th.
it just is not, I can understand you're saying that, it's not written here. So if anyone was to just look at this, it looks like we're paying 3 people $30,000. I understand she resigned, but if you're just reading it purely,
It's a good chart.
yeah, so I don't know, maybe next time if there could be a way to have it clarified in the notes of, because it's also Eloise retired, but then Eugene is it Eugene is also
Yes.
getting the 30,000 for 2023.
Right, and then from the bottom of the body, it says the effective date of the changes.
Yeah, I understand that, I just. Well, so Eugene was hired, terminated, he was terminated, it's just very confusing too. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but it just was like,
Appreciate the input.
I don't know if you can do anything to make it clarified or.
You talk about
Yeah, I mean, we can maybe
Turn
asterisk
question
it or something, but.
Yeah, that this, yeah, maybe like an asterisk is saying this is prorated on, up until the date, blah, 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 when they were terminated or resigned or something like that, maybe that would help. And put that amount maybe in, so it's clear, it's not 30,000 for 3 people.
Well, you can discuss it with the auditor to show how
Okay.
you want the resolution.
Okay, that'd be good, thank you.
Any other public comment on the agenda? Motion to close?
Make a motion to close.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Now, motion to adopt resolution 2023.82, authorizing participation in Gov Deals online auction. This is an extension of our Gov Deals resolution.
I make a motion to adopt resolution 2023.82.
All in favor? Aye. A motion to adopt resolution 2023.83, award of contract and top line construction for Brunswick Pike project.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2023.83 on Brunswick Pike.
Second. Another roll call vote, please.
Keith,
Yes.
Kenny,
Yes.
Mr. Lindsay's excused, Nelson,
Abstain.
and York.
Yes. Just kind of, if I definitely do a roll call vote for the next few resolutions, just because they're all financial issues. Resolution 2023.84, can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2023.84, the salary ordinance. Updated.
All fair. Roll call vote, please.
Keith,
Yeah.
Kenny,
Yes.
Mr. Lindsay's excused, Nelson,
Yes.
York.
Yes. And resolution 2023.85, with an amendment, hiring full-time Department of Public Works equipment operator, not mechanic.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2023.85 on hiring a full-time public works lieutenant. No, did you say not lieutenant?
Not mechanic, equipment operator.
Equipment operator, yeah.
I'll second. Yeah, roll call vote, please.
You said it's equipment operator.
Equipment operator, it's, the resolution is right, the title is wrong, so the rest of the resolution is correct.
Should we make a motion to adopt it as amended?
Yes.
All right, as amended for equipment operator.
Second.
Keith,
Yeah.
Kenny,
Yes.
Lindsay's excused, Nelson,
Yes.
York.
Yes. Now a motion to adopt resolution 2023.86, requesting approval of item of revenue and appropriation. Okay, I take 48:4-87.
Make a motion to adopt resolution 2023.86, appropriation NJSA 40A 4-87.
Second. Second. Report. You can ask a question, but I'll try to answer, and then of course, CFO, so when we were talking about the stormwater B to A transition, DEP did offer $75,000 in non-competitive grants for this year. We did receive $25,000 earlier. This is the remaining $50,000 from that grant, but since it's not in the budget, with the resolution to accept it, and then be able to spend it. A roll call vote.
Keith,
Yes.
Kenny,
Yes.
Lindsay's excused, Nelson,
Yes.
York.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have a motion to adopt resolution 2023.87.
Make a motion to adopt resolution 2023.87.
Second.
No one else.
Yeah, but I don't put you in the spot. I don't think we need a roll call because this is only call.
No.
Yeah, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now a motion to pay all bills in the amount of $69,860.65.
Make a motion to pay the bills.
Second. Roll call vote, please.
Keith,
Yeah.
Kenny,
Yes.
Mr. Lindsay's excused, Nelson,
Yes.
York.
Yes. Report of Mr. Engineer, Mr. Decker.
Two things, Brunswick Pike, you adopted the resolution earlier awarding the contract top line. You've already started getting the ball rolling with top line as far as pre-construction meetings and so forth. They do plan on getting that done this fall.
The start date yet?
Not yet. We're having our pre-con next Thursday.
Okay.
And we'll we'll have a date. They'll start off with drainage first and then we'll do.
Thank you.
And then, Chris, when we have the resolution, it's got to sign resolution, if you know each copy, because you have uploaded the DOT system, and I think you need to log in also after that. You'll get one back.
Okay, so it goes to you first and then
Give
you
it
do
to,
that?
send it to us,
Then I do it?
we'll upload it, and you should get an email asking you to log in and basically. Okay. And then, Heritage Park. Carl has installed 8 benches along the walkway. And we're still waiting for delivery of the pavilion, but that should be, fairly soon. And then you can put that in. Perfect.
Really sounds big.
Perfect. And then once we have all the paperwork, that can get us, get checks and so forth, that will submit that to DCA reimbursement. And then that project will be closed out.
There's not to go to the park often. I drove down tonight and checked the benches out. They're very nice.
Yeah, I was there.
Nicely placed.
Yeah. Put one at the basketball court.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, it's nice. We worked out too with the middle school cross country team as well, so they can still run and have the benches in the proper place.
Yeah, you just stole my thunder for part of my report tonight. Yeah, it's all right. But I did want to thank the school for cooperating with the cross country on how we were gonna place it. Because they were very cooperative and working with us. So, yes, and thank you to Carl for meeting with them.
That's really all I had. What's your next question, right?
No, yeah, then I say, we'll do a public comment, and then, I don't think I have anything else for you, we can excuse you after that,
Okay, well, the scout master wants to hear the Eagle Scout.
then you're welcome to stay. But,
Presentation.
you know, what's going to be public comment?
I'll make a motion to open public comment on this topic.
Second. Ever?
Aye.
Do Marlon for 44 Charlton, just a question, remember at one point that you had to put in swales along roadways as drainage?
Yeah.
Did they not do natural swales anymore?
They do typically, they're pushing down newer developments and so forth, which we don't really have anymore. Most of what we have in town, we have roadside ditches where we have pipe systems, and in some cases, we're trying to get, we put in piping because we're having issues with the roadside ditches not having capacity, and we don't have to put it.
So is that why they're not in favor anymore, with roadside ditches or natural swales?
They'd like to have natural swales, which are usually much broader.
Oh, so what we have is typically road ditches.
We have roadside ditches where the road is, where the drainage is. What they want are these nice parabolic swales that are, 10 feet wide, 1.5 feet deep. And we just don't have the right of way
Yeah.
to do a lot.
So I was questioning, because like Charlestown Road where they just redid it,
Mhm.
it's like all pipe now, and I just felt like, what happened to the main engineering that I thought we were supposed to be using
Yeah,
anymore?
it's really gonna depend on the, for public improvements, what type of right of way we have.
I do, thank you for correcting me, because I kept thinking those were swales, but they're the ditches
They're the
that used
ditches,
to be, but
yeah.
now it's nothing,
Right.
now it's all pipes, which,
And then if we can get it underground and we eliminate, some of the ponding on the side of the road and so forth, if we can. So,
okay, thank you.
Public comment?
Make a motion to close.
Second. Favor? Aye. Mr. Izzet, come on up and there your private please.
Hey, hello, everyone. I'm Joseph Rizza from Boy Scout Troop 46, and I'm currently a junior at North Huntington High School. And I was interested at completing a Eagle Scout project at Heritage Park. I'm open to suggestions if there's anything that you guys see that should be done there, but I do have one idea that I do like. So as I look around the park, one thing that I noticed is the bulletin board that you guys have looks okay. And I have
You're very nice.
So I was just looking around, and I thought that I could improve it a lot and I have a picture right here, if you guys want to pass around and look at it, of something similar that I would build in place of the bulletin board or anywhere else you see fit. Yeah, an informational something. A little bit, maybe some brochures or something. So, like that. Approve, yeah, I don't really know where to go from here, you guys approve?
Well, actually, if you wanted to improve that sign, there's also, the trail sign. I don't know if you've noticed, pointing to the trail behind the park that goes down to the Muskie. Just behind the, whatchamacallit, the obstacle course. Go there, there's a post that says ale instead of trail. I don't know if you would want to put that as part of, your improvements to improve that post as well. It's really just not far behind that sign if you were to walk that part of the path. Going to the off-road trail that goes down.
I mean, I think it would be a good idea that it looks much better than what we have. If you could add that trail sign, that would be nice to have the two that keep us the trail.
Yeah.
And then maybe we could work with Mr. G's and instead of having we had like maps and things, putting a permanent like QR code inside, people can add things later on. Put a permanent QR code to a map that, the landing page should be on our website, but this way people can access it on their phone rather than worrying about getting a paper map down all the time, which is part of that problem with the kiosk, plus the court board.
Yeah, that's true. And one last thing, was talking with, one of the township staff. Actually, do we need field workers? Like field 1, 2, and 3? I just keep that, no, we don't have to do it.
I think, maybe that's part of the QR code as well,
Yeah,
because we do have an aerial photo, and I think the issue with the field markers. We found that I think 100 games, we use the map quite a bit, but they're numbered, but they're also used for either soccer or lacrosse, so they're not. It'd be better to use that diagram and just have numbers like there, and also I think it'll be better if you than have to worry about extra signage.
Okay.
So maybe get like 2 permanent QR codes, one of the trails, and then one for the fields, so people know where they are.
Yeah, I could definitely do that.
Okay.
So if we are gonna do this, I would need some paperwork signed, just, for my proposal, so I can come around and give that, or now.
Yeah, because you're gonna need somebody from the town that's gonna be your first point of contact, that's gonna sign off on.
I'm actually the local advancement chair for our own troop here,
Oh, there you go.
so I'll be happy to take it on.
Thank you.
So I'll give you my phone number, it was actually here if you want, that way you can reach out to me.
Now or?
Yeah, I'll give it to you now. It's, I used to be on the website, so I don't mind giving it out.
Yeah, and any help you need from me or any connection you need with the website and stuff like that, just feel free to reach out. Chris, our clerk, can always get a hold of me, give you the contact numbers to get a hold of me. Anytime is good.
Okay, well, I'll put it in.
Looking forward to working with you.
I'll put an email together to get started, and we can give out numbers, little.
Sounds good.
Mine's 908 222 6158.
908-222-6158.
And I do respond to texts quickest, because I sit through way too many meetings when I actually answer the phone to be top, but we do like texting, and then if you send me a text, I'll give you my email as well, and I'll put an email together with SUDDs. And then the only thing I say with the QR codes, we do have a public information committee. So it's myself, our municipal attorney, and our clerk, so we just have to do an approval on those to make sure that the QR code is going to the right place. And then just as a formality, and then that we're good.
See what I can do. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's a question, are we approving this now?
You take a formal vote? Sure.
That's, because we thought, is Carl, where is a good place? Does he have a place picked out?
I was going to replace where the current bulletin board is, but if you guys don't want that, I can move it, but I think that.
Probably in the vicinity, but that's part of the process, because we're not just gonna sign off, we'll get a design form and we'll discuss it, so there's some steps before this, we're just approving the overall project, and then Carl, Ryan, and you, we can talk about where it goes.
And like always, I always offer, because I got folks out there, on the back of tractor, so if you're gonna put weight and you need poles dug, I'm volunteering, so, right, if you go that route.
Thank you.
So that's helpful down there. So I as well ask, have a motion to approve, Joseph Rizzo's Eagle Scout project for a kiosk and a trout sign.
I will make that motion to approve.
Second. All in favor? Thank you very much for bringing this project to us. We appreciate being the recipients of it and working with you going forward. You're welcome to stay for the rest of our meeting, but you don't have to. Under old business, we have a public hearing ordinance 436/2023 to amend chapter 102-19 fences, walls, site triangles. The ordinance was found to be not inconsistent with the township master plan by the planning board at their meeting held on August 28th, 2023. I have a motion to open this public hearing.
Make a motion to open the public hearing on this ordinance.
Second. Favor?
Aye.
Motion to open the public.
I'll make a motion to open the public.
Second. Second. All in favor? We'll take public comment on this first, and then we'll discuss as a committee afterwards. So, take public comment, please just come up to the microphone, or the owl can pick you up and state your name and address.
I'm Alan Hunt at 142 Valley Road. I had a couple questions about the fence ordinance here. I'd like to understand a little bit more about what's driving the change to it.
I don't remember what.
There was, the whole thing started with an application.
Oh, right, and so there was a gate,
No, it's okay. It had an application, it was actually a couple of years ago that came through. For a property on, I think it was Turkey Hill. It was Turkey Hill, bottom of Turkey Hill, that had a, it was they wanted to put in a gate / couple of side post fences, and the ordinance just didn't address it at all.
So if you put, you need the panels to hold the gate up. And
Right.
the individual was sent to the planning board for variance based on where, so it was a little onerous for a resident that wanted to put in a gate.
Yeah, and costly.
Yes,
To
so
go for variances is not easy, so we tried to, so the thought of the planning board was to try and incorporate and enhance the ordinance so that less residents would have needed to come before the planning board, spend the money, spend the time. And that's pretty much the genesis of the update of the ordinance.
I think the only other tweaks really were to better define what those panels are to support the gates. And I believe we changed the setbacks, because we were worried about snow control and not being responsible for damaging fences. And also those gates, we pushed back the setback per gate as well, to 25 feet, so somebody can pull into their driveway while the gate opens and not block traffic.
Okay, thank you. I'm concerned about some of the changes that would impact farming and farm uses. Our property is owned agricultural residential, and our ordinance has in the right to farm ordinance allows the construction of fences.
You're exempt.
Yes,
So what's changing in this is that on paragraph 4, well, there's a couple changes, right? Paragraph A, instead of it being that all fences, shall not require a construction permit, right? Shall not require a permit except as, it indicates they do. The new language is that all fences shall require either zoning clearance or approval. So all fences need approval now. So A is different from what it used to be. The way it used to be, you had exemptions. So if you fit into the rule, you didn't need permission. Then everything else kind of flows from that. Subparagraph 4, B4. We used to say farm fences are permitted to be up to 10 feet high in height and shall not require construction permits. The new subparagraph B4 Says fences not within any required front, side, or rear yards are permitted to be up to 10 feet in height. But it takes out farm fences, so farm fences are no longer exempt.
The right to farm supersedes.
Yeah.
So
It's, it's confusing because right to farm also indicates that it's contingent upon other laws that the municipality has passed.
yeah,
The intent was that right to farm just sort of supersedes
that's right.
the ordinances in general, so.
And I, just, my interpretation of the right to farm is a statutory act, and that outweighs an ordinance. So an ordinance can't negate the statute. The statute gives the right.
So we had two,
Kind of sequence.
yeah, so we have two,
That would be federal.
Same idea, super simple.
we have two residents on the planning board who fought their right to farm.
Yeah.
And the planning board attorney, and all three felt comfortable not specifying because we thought, in Bethlehem especially, people understand the right to farm.
Right, but then why take that exemption out? Right, so like we have livestock, we use a movable fence. So that fence, there's no way I could take that and be, oh, do I get it permitted in this location? But next week it's gonna be over here. And then the next week it's gonna be somewhere else. It'll be in the front of the yard, it'll be on the side. It could be within 10 feet, but it's movable.
You're not subject to the permit.
Right, but then why take the language out that exempts it? Right, so it's like, now I have to go interpret this in alignment with other parts of the ordinance. Why not just make it clearer and exempt it? Exempt agriculture or exempt farm fences in agricultural residential zones and just say it right out. Right, because like, I'm reading this and I'm pretty confused. If I'm supposed to take the right to farm ordinance, because the right to farm ordinance, the right to farm as is adopted, so it's contingent upon, other laws. So you could require a permit for the construction of a fence. It's not altering my right to construct a fence under right to farm.
Well, we're not requiring a permit if you're a farm.
Okay, so why can you put in a paragraph that says that? Put in a sub paragraph, make a new one. And the deer fencing too, the way that was written, it says, if it complies, it shall not require any approval. That was B8. And now it does need, the language saying that you did not need approval was taken out. If it complied. And so I've got 3 places where the language has changed. That looks like the town has more authority over fencing than it used to for agriculture fencing.
If I can make a comment on that, my issue with it dealt specifically with deer fencing. Because the separation between the fence, talking in the shorthand of this being a boundary fence, but it doesn't define deer fences that. And many people have deer fence that have nothing to do with the boundary, and they don't want to have to go down and get a permit or permission to put up deer fencing to protect the shrubs that are just in front of the porch. Or if you found in violation. So I think we have to, but we have an exception for the dog run.
Yeah.
And I think we should put an exception in for deer fence, and I quite honestly don't have a problem at all with including that something to the effect, and words to the effect, I think that's what they are. But words to the effect that this does not in any way affect the right to farm act. Something like that. Because it doesn't.
I would put it as a separate clause, I wouldn't change all the clauses back. I just.
Well, yeah, as long as it's in there.
Yeah, just
Nothing stated here, it affects the right to farm act.
Yeah.
And if it could be a little clearer and say that you don't need to go to the planning board for permission, for agricultural fences. Yeah, and that would be, allowed under the right to farm act.
Yeah. I
found that we thought that was kind of like, no one in Bethlehem, like I said, we have 2 farms and we are Bethlehem, so.
Right, but we could have a different committee after an election, we have different planning board members and, it could be different. I mean, there aren't that many folks that have, agricultural residential property.
That's why this is more geared towards the majority. We want people to feel an onus if you're in a residential area or R1.5 or not residential.
Mhm.
To think that this is required, it is, that's why the language changed, so that. people understand they need to come and get a permit, and those who are agricultural kind of already do that. So you got the intent, but, yeah.
I mean, another way of addressing it could be, just putting it in the agricultural residential zone, just say that, fences are permitted and, agricultural fences don't require a permit. That's another way of addressing it too, right? You just put it in the land, in the zoning.
Yeah. Sorry, again, I'm not, I don't disagree. Sorry.
All right, well, those were my comments, and I'd like you to consider this and its potential impact on agriculture and as someone who does grazing and moves fencing a lot. Also may change it to horticulture, may need to put up more deer fencing too. Thank you.
Thank you.
You've been welcome for 24th fall summer. I must admit, I haven't read the new ordinance, but it does bring up a point, so technically, if the way it's written right now, if I have some, let's say, deer fencing in a little piece of my woods to try to get native growth there, I would need a permit for that?
It could be interpreted that way. So
Yeah, that was what I.
Exactly, you made me, you made me like, oh, wow.
I don't want the deer to get it, I'm not surrounding my property. I didn't want somebody saying every year when they put up deer fences, you get a permit.
Yeah,
That's not. I agree, when I first read it, it talks about fences, it really means perimeter fences, it's like the people who put deer fence around and keep deer off their property altogether, which is different than what we're talking about.
exactly.
And what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. But then also, what if you're not agricultural? Like, what if you just wanna protect your shrub or, my 2 little tomato plants or whatever, right? So you both brought up a good point that I didn't even think about, that it was more onerous in that respect, and that's not good.
Yeah, again, I think it was the intent, we need to specify, the intent was that these are perimeter fences, so I think our intent was a little more clear for agriculture. Much less clear for internal fences, so we have the dog run here, but I believe the intent was that it's not a perimeter fence. You're allowed to protect your garden, you're allowed to protect your chickens.
Yeah, I don't think we did talk about that, I remember, we also didn't consider what it would be a fence if you were to just put the netting over the top.
Yeah.
That's not really a fence.
Well, it's very nice for you to say that, but one of your township committee members who happens to be an attorney questioned it, and a resident, so obviously, even right here now and then, there's questions about it, so it definitely should be clarified and rewritten to allow what we're just talking about, so.
See, the problem I have with it is the way we define the definition section. It has the definition of deer fence, separate from the definition of fence. Fence is constructed, erected at grade, for the purpose of defining boundaries of property, separating space, restricting ingress or egress from property, providing security and protection to property, or acting as a visual or acoustic screen. It's a very broad definition of fence, which could include number 1, which is a deer fence, fencing designed for the purpose of repelling and preventing the travel or entry of deer. So when we say the travel of deer, it's defined, it doesn't say at the property line. It could be anywhere on the property, even though it's a deer fence. Understand the distinction between my deer fencing and a real fence, for lack of a better phrase. That's what they're trying to talk about here. It's the placement of deer fence is often internal, not intended to be something that we need to go get a permit for. And I'm not a farmer, but I don't disagree with anything you said. Agriculture is sort of like a farm.
Troy Ennis, 491 Charlestown Road, Bramble Bush Farm. And I just want to know what's driving this. Why do you guys keep coming up with more and more rules that are not necessary, that are unnecessary, and for any reason? Okay, it's a misinterpretation in the future of how people are using their property. So we have to defend ourselves.
I'll address it. It's actually the opposite. It was a dispute because several years ago, when it came to a property owner who was trying to put up a fence with a gate.
Okay,
And the ordinance hadn't been written in with the idea that there's a distinction between the gate, which could be more decorative, and it's at a driveway. And he wanted to put it in the driveway for a perfect reason. You know, good reason is you don't want to have to stop on the street to open the gate. You want to be able to stop in your driveway a little ways.
yeah, you set it 25 feet off, or
But-
my gates are going right
There
now.
was a dispute about it, so there's an effort to fix the ordinance, so the next person wouldn't have that same problem.
Okay,
And trying to fix the ordinance, they're looking at an ordinance that was probably 30-some years old.
okay,
Didn't meet what I would call modern, didn't meet what I would call the modern standards.
okay,
And in fixing it, as, and I say this on any statute or any ordinance that's ever written, they're never perfect, especially the first time you're writing.
yeah.
This is why we do this, because in application, we find other issues that need to be fixed, but it was intended to be fixed, because it fixes the problem that was needed to be addressed. Fixes a lot of other problems, but I have to agree that I see the way this is written, we can probably fix this too. So that, and the idea is not to create more disputes, actually to make it so clear.
So what,
So we know what we're talking about. That's why this is a good discussion.
so only, what the problem is with this process is we only have 2 or 3 people that are aware of it. And they show up and they have, you know, the control of where it goes and how it goes, and it affects 3,500 people in our town. And I just, I'm frustrated with the way the system is working.
You know what I would say, how I'm frustrated? There's a lot more to what's happening in this fence ordinance that's happening here. This was a subject many times in the planning board. And it was discussed many times, and how many people went, and there's public notice, but nobody knows. One of the reasons, who's here, we have the same. Some people are here all the time.
My wife
And I
is dedicated to every meeting.
They raise issues
Yes,
that
yeah.
you might not think about. That's why it's perfect to have you here. Same thing in planning. If we were there, somebody might have said it at the planning board, but we're here so that it's broad discussed.
Yeah.
And the room was full all the time and everybody.
Yes, and I really appreciate the special session that Judy had with us talking about, like, you know, the whole process, and I was like, you know, I was like, wow, and you know, that was awesome. I really like that.
Yeah.
So,
So what
you know,
you're doing is exactly part of it.
Yeah,
This
you're open space, this is the planning board twice, and then, you know, Alan brings up a good point, and others bring up good points, but it's the planning board twice.
Right.
And they probably spent, you know, it was late meetings, probably 3 hours.
Yeah, when I was on the planning board with you, I mean, it's like,
Yeah, there's a lot of discussion.
yeah, but that was back when we could do development, and we can't do that anymore, so now it's all just, you
It's all
know,
tweaking.
regulation.
Yeah, this really came to try to make something easier for somebody else, but while we were looking at it,
Right.
trying to, again, bring it up to a current standard. and something
Okay.
we can use. So
Cool.
it's not more onerous, it really shouldn't be more onerous.
Right,
It's just clarifying.
right,
It was actually trying to save, you missed the beginning of this discussion, but it was actually
did.
to try and save the residents money
Right.
that have to not go through the variance process,
gotcha.
You
Okay.
wanna-
which
yeah,
I've been through that process.
Cool,
That
and
process
I
is,
do agree 100% with anyone that has a farmland, you know, rights and rules to not have to be part of that process, because we're, you know, we have to do the, you know, through the CADB and, you know, and that's who we answer to for zoning. It's really not the town. And so if we could add that language in there, so for anyone that's right to farm, and, you know, we can protect our farm and do what we have to do to farm our property. That's all I'm trying to protect. Thank you.
Is it open for public comment right now?
yes,
Just on this kind of stuff, on the fence.
Kirsten Dennis, 491 Charlestown Road. I guess my concern is that you said one person complained about a gate. And that inside this whole,
So there was an issue involved in the person.
Okay.
People realized the ordinance needed to be looked at and amended, because when they looked.
so who was that person? Where do they live? What road? What
It's on her bill.
was on her?
Yes, there
Okay,
were forced,
so-
there were forced to come in for a variance.
Right.
and pay all the fees, the escrow and everything to put up a fence because there's misinterpretation about what the side fence.
So they couldn't open their gate in time for somebody to go past.
No, it was just, they couldn't install it, and they should have been able to install it with just a permit, but they were forced to spend thousands of dollars.
And this was intended so that we don't have to, you don't have to do, we want you to be able to come in and put a fence up once you have to get there to do
Yeah,
it,
once you get your permit, put your gate up and move on.
but not her.
But if you want to come in for the variance,
No.
we can go backwards.
Okay.
Try to make it
I'm
better.
just trying to understand, because it seems as though things are predicated on one person coming to
This
this
is
board.
only one person, so every year the planning board goes through all the applications for variances. And then they go back and compare them to the ordinances that are there. So like we have a whole new septic process, as I think you're aware of.
Mhm.
And that came from like 7+ septic applications that became 2 owners for residents. We tried to make that process easier. Other ones that we're looking at, are upcoming home-based business we're gonna look at because of changes from the pandemic and how people work in our town.
Mhm.
And then this was one incident, but it was something that came, it wasn't one individual, and the individual never even complained. The individual came, they paid for an attorney, they paid their escrow, but we saw the injustice of it.
Okay,
And the planning board in their report said, this is wrong, we need to update the ordinance.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Peter Berger, 134 Blackfoot Road. I was involved in the discussion of the fencing, I think, at the planning board, but I don't remember all of it. Just a couple of quick questions. Is there a copy of it out there, or?
The ordinance,
Yeah,
I have an extra one.
okay, I'll look at it, but a couple of real quick questions. Any fences grandfathered in? In other words,
Yes,
Everyone is,
yeah, where is that? Let's see, that's taken care of.
in section E, all deer fences, fences, driveway fences, gates in existence as of the date of the adoption of this ordinance shall be permitted to continue. And portions thereof shall be permitted to be replaced, provided the replacement does not exceed the existing height of such fence or gate, or the maximum height permitted by this ordinance. So you're allowed to both repair your existing and keep your existing.
and replace it at the height that exists.
Sure.
Excellent. Who's gonna enforce this, or is this another one of these rules where the neighbor complains and then Mr. Fleming goes out, or does Mr. Fleming ride around and go, hey, there's one that's out of compliance?
It's a complaint, it is not right around.
So it's telling your neighbor again. Boy, that sounds like a foreign country sometimes, doesn't it? You know?
I think having a government official,
Yeah,
I think government official driving around,
Yeah.
citing everybody sounds like foreign.
to me, that's,
I guess.
We're rural, and both with respect to the taxpayer, Mr. Fleming is paid a certain amount to be here. He needs to process permits and other things. Him driving around town looking for violations is not really the intent of what that job is in a town like Bethlehem Township conversion. And then even when he does go out, at least my direction, and maybe it does, like Mr. Hunt says, it changes. My direction, and I believe the committee supports, we ask Mr. Fleming to go out and try to resolve it with the resident first. And if it's a complaint between two, we ask him to resolve it before we go into any other kind of, summons or violations.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Sorry. What he's saying is really applicable to what is going on in our town, because you have one vocal minority complaining and they cause an uproar. There's no representatives, and they come before the board, they complain to the zoning officer, and then they come out and they issue a summons for no warranted reason. And so how are you able to differentiate that a neighbor who's just disgruntled is complaining and not causing a problem for one individual in the town? And that's the problem with all these ordinances, that you have one neighbor, they remain anonymous. They don't have to disclose who that person is. Summonses are issued, and we have no basis for what that complaint is. So if that neighbor has a fence that they don't like the gate, they'll call you up, and all of a sudden you've got the zoning officer there. issuing a citation and saying you're in violation. So who's regulating the complaints? And why are they anonymous?
Well, an ordinance is kind of like speeding, you're either doing 43 or you're doing 46.
But who's
45.
complaining and who's,
Yeah, so with the gate, and again, we ask the zoning officer, so if he comes out and your gate or fence is in violation, we ask him to ask you to make that correction and give you time to do that before he issues a violation. I don't think I've ever seen our zoning officer, current or previous, write a violation on the person.
I could tell you right now, one on Mountain View Road.
Right.
Okay, and there was at least 3 incidences at the same residence, lighting, fence and noise from barking dogs. And,
Well, those are separate issues, and actually one of those is executive discussion tonight, so,
okay,
again, I see where you're coming from.
okay,
But that's not the way that works either. It's an ordinance, it's a law, it's you're in violation or not, so nobody's using it to send the zoning officer out to be retaliatory. They may think that way, but they're not, they're not in violation, they're not in violation.
The resource. Well, it's not, let me say this, I think we all agree that we need a set of rules and laws in order to have a civil society. There are certain criminal rules that are enforced by the police. These are not those. These are rules to try to make sure that neighbors don't have disputes. If everybody would follow the rules, your neighbor would be telling on you, because you'd be in compliance with the rules. If you
Well-
have a bad neighbor who wants to harass you and they make a complaint, the intent is there's a rule, an ordinance, that the zoning officer will go out there, instead of having 2 neighbors fight with each other. We want to have the zoning officer go in and take a look at it and say, here's the ordinance, and you are or are not in violation. But it's not the zoning officer at the end of the day that will make that decision. And even if the zoning officer says that the fence is 9 feet, it's not supposed to be 8 feet, can you fix it? And they fix it, there's no violation is issued. All we want is compliance, and we want you to get along with your neighbor. But we don't want to be the people who are doing that. We would like the neighbors to get along. Sometimes it's a civil dispute. That's not enforceable by ordinance or law. It's a nuisance. That could be a civil dispute, not to be for us to decide. Other times, there would be rules that we would get involved in if it can't be resolved and somebody doesn't want kids going around. And we have to ask us to go in court. The court will say, yeah, you're not in compliance, you're being in compliance. And the court will ask the non-compliant person to comply with the law. But if you got a neighbor who doesn't care, we don't know that. We're not condoning you're not obeying the law, but we're not the police, we're not the Gestapo out there looking to find that you are an inch over the setback. If
Well-
we built a shed,
the issue is compliance. Okay, your term of compliance is, the state police show up and say, your dog is barking over 10 minutes. And we don't know that as a fact, so
That's a different
that is
perspective.
the stuff.
That's how we can bring that up in regular.
Okay.
Yeah, the ordinance was arbitrary and capricious and uninterpretable by any, one that could come out and interpret it. It was just made up when we were in COVID. It was the first meeting after.
It's just a benefit, just a benefit.
Not fence ordinance.
this is where we're at open.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I woman.
She went into that and it's just like.
Motion to close public comment on the fence ordinance.
Make a motion to close public comment on the fence ordinance.
Second. All in favor? So regarding our discussion on this, I think, the agricultural and, farm protections are easy to put in, and I don't think they significantly change the substance of the ordinance. So that I would say we can amend tonight. I do have some concerns if we want to change the language for fences regarding, deer protection, animal protection within the boundaries of a yard. I do believe that's a substantial enough change that this needs to be sent back to the, planning board at that point. So, with that, I'm not gonna even ask for the motion to adopt, I'll ask for a motion to, close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
All in favor?
Aye.
I got a motion to send this back to the planning board to review, deer fencing and, I say, animal, both agricultural and domestic within property boundaries.
I'll make a motion to send this back to the planning board to look at those issues.
I'm sorry.
All in favor?
Yes.
Very good. We do business, we would report the town attorney,
Nothing to report.
report of personnel technical support coordinator, Ms. Nelson.
You might be stealing Jen's thunder for later. I don't know what her plans would have been for her update, but her and I are going to be working on the new review forms for the township staff. Okay. And so, yeah, so we're gonna be working on that tomorrow, and then the review process is gonna be started up here.
Can I take a look at those, so when you do your changes
If
first?
you wanna stay tomorrow, we good.
A couple other meetings, already. I'll be back by 1:30.
I'll be gone by 1:30.
You never know.
Otherwise, no other issues. Nothing else to report.
Report of roads coordinator, Mr. Keith.
I just got a quick question. Judy,
Yes,
what did you say? You said uniforms? All right, misheard.
you might, yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, we're doing staff uniforms.
You're talking about forms? I said forms,
He's not
review forms.
Okay, I thought
Yeah.
I heard you say something about uniforms. Okay,
Okay.
Not like the United States Senate.
all right, Carl asked me to bring this up today. He wants to rehire a part-time employee for the grass cutting. Apparently grass cutting's got a little out of control, and I believe the part-timers are gonna be due to stop their working. So he has to bring on an old, I guess, he's not in hire now, but he's okay to be rehired as a grass cutter for the park, part-time, for a short term.
So it's a different individual than the one who was doing it for the summer.
Yeah, so it'd be perfectly legal with the union. He's not going consecutive.
Well, it's also not gonna be for the whole fall
No,
season.
no, not at all. It's just part-time enough where Carl thinks might be just for a month.
Okay.
It's just to catch up on the grass. So he asked me to ask, that's okay, I believe. He said, Jen said we have the money.
Okay, I'll just make a motion then to hire a seasonal employee, different seasonal employee,
It's
or
Rich who we had in the spring.
that's fine, they just have to be consistent. For grass mowing, not for the entire fall season, but as long as it's needed for grass maintenance.
With, and it's compliant with the.
And combined with the union contract.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. I'll do a roll call vote now.
Keith,
Yes,
Kenny?
Yeah.
Mr. Lundy is excused, Nelson,
Yes.
and you.
Yes. Anything else?
no, other than that, I'll just talk a few more minutes about my report.
Report joint professional service coordinator, no current updates. Report of Highlands Council coordinator, Ms. Nelson.
Nothing tonight.
Report of governing body members, Mr. Kenny.
Other than no, the security panels have come in.
Yeah, I think I pointed that out.
Yeah, no, and we're gonna have a meeting, but I don't know, it's my fault, we didn't have a meeting.
Yeah, we're waiting for a date.
Oh, that's what,
Yeah.
wait a minute, that.
Yeah, it was the 19th, but we'll look for
That's
that one.
fine, okay. I came in and looked at it. Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I didn't give an update. So what we're talking about is we do annual security meetings for the, actually usually we do it twice a year, but we have a security meeting coming up for the court. The first meeting we did of the year resulted in the purchase because it was required of the metal detector. But we're gonna have a follow-up with our security representatives from state police and the county sheriff's office and Mr. Kenny and myself. We just haven't set the date, so I don't have. We'll do another round of emails. Anything else?
No,
Mr. Keith?
Just want to remind everybody about Community Day. It's gonna be not this weekend, but next weekend, we're supposed to have, fun time. So do we have a rain day for fireworks or?
Just our setters.
October 7th.
October 6th, okay.
As the rain date?
Yes,
What's the real date?
September 30th.
The gov deal's now being approved to be a call, and I believe you're involved in that, we're gonna get busy.
I put the two files back, so they're there, they're bright red for the two drops.
And one other thing, I don't know if it's important, but I asked Carl to get red tape instead of the yellow caution tape that goes off the walking path. Because in the last couple of shows, people just ignore yellow tape, so he's gonna have expensive just red tape, because it means something totally different on it. I believe it says danger, do not enter, or something like that.
That's for the bridge, right?
And
For
we're
the
gonna
bridges.
I think Carl said we were gonna do something about the bridge tomorrow,
Okay.
some kind of blockage or something like that, something permanent.
This is for the fireworks.
Oh, fireworks.
You can also use that too, but I think Carl had a more permanent than yellow and red tape.
Yeah, he was gonna do something with center blocks or something.
Right, exactly, so he said he was gonna go do that tomorrow.
Okay.
I just wanna let you know the red tape, because I've had people that just pick up
Mhm.
the yellow tape and you gotta fight them, I was like, what are you, an idiot? Don't come through, so red tape, it'll be a little more specific, so. That's what I got.
All right, we're looking forward to the fireworks show. Appreciate you helping us out with that every year. Ms. Nelson?
I have a rather nice update tonight, nothing, real official business, but I happened to catch the, DEP, people, monitoring the stream that runs by my house, the Asbury West Portal Stream, which was affected by, obviously, we know the environmental hazard back in 2017. So I happened to catch them there. They were doing some monitoring of the stream, and they gave good news. They said that the stream has recovered very nicely. They walked from where my house is on Brunswick Pike up and around to, they said, another culvert, but I don't exactly know where that second culvert might have been. I think it might have been the one on 173. It kind of views around. They said they monitored about 200 trout between point A and point B. Good news, they said they seemed to be in healthy condition, the stream seemed to be in healthy condition, and that, all sizes, all weights, ages of trout, and the brook trout, the native brook trout are holding their own, which they were pleasantly surprised at, so I just kind of wanted to pass that along, because I thought that was very good news.
That's very good.
Yeah. And that's it, because my thunder was still earlier tonight.
All right. Report of Township Administrator.
Yes.
I just, BJ asked me to just, mention again, that any animals that are not licensed by September 30th, the summonses will be issued. So, there's another, week or so, and, she got a lot of responses within the last week or two. So, if there's anybody that knows anyone whose animals are not licensed, encouraged to get them in. And then I have 2 contract issues for executive.
Okay. Very good. Yeah, we do make every effort, I said this last year, to, animals aren't licensed. We try to make phone calls so that you don't end up in court. We really try to be as friendly as possible when we do that. And give every advantage we can. So last year, I think we started like 54 some odd animals. We got down to 11 by the end, that ended up in court. So I don't think many municipalities do that. I know we're small, but I think it's nice to do. There's one chronic dog, 173, that's still unlicensed. So has been out multiple times, it seems, this past week. So
Oh,
yes, sorry, animal control officer did inform that individual that no, didn't need the license to go. Report of the mayor, we tabled our tier B to tier A ordinances last meeting. Just as an update on that, I had shared, I believe, the previous meeting, but we had requested a meeting with DEP. So that is in the works, not necessarily to change the ordinances or negotiate what is in those, but to provide some assistance and guidance on how best to implement as a small town. And most likely we'll be doing that with some of our surrounding communities. I'm waiting for the final time and date, but likely this weekend I'll be meeting with the mayors of Union and Alexandria to discuss, and then we'll be setting up a meeting as multiple municipalities to do that so the impact is lessened as much as it can be to our tax base. Mr. Keefe already mentioned Community Day, so September 30th. That starts at 4 p.m. A lot of activities for all ages. So please come on out. It'll be a fun day. This is more internal, but I'll send out an email. Our newsletter will be mailed November 15th, so I get articles by October 1st. So very short timeline, but I said I had to reach out to find out what was going on. So I just got that email yesterday, October 1st. We'll follow up, so I've emailed everybody that reach out to some of the community groups, but if there are any community groups that are on tonight or watching this later, we do need those reports. We usually go out as the seniors, environmental commission, and recreation booster to supply some updates. And if anybody has any interesting articles or things that they want to share, maybe want to share the process of becoming an Eagle Scout, we'd be happy to have an article in the newsletter about that. The other thing is we've talked about, Mr. Keefe gives updates about the group home, but there have been some additional questions about it. So I did reach out to the Department of Developmental Disabilities. They requested all response records from first responding agencies. So I had the state police compile those for me, and we submitted those to the Department of Developmental Disabilities this week, because I just received them this week from the state police. And we'll likely be setting up some sort of group meeting, Mr. Keefe. When I get that date, I'll let you know. But it'll be you and I representing the town, as well as state police and group home representatives.
Are
And,
citizens allowed to participate in that?
no,
Because I have a video that wasn't called in, of one of those.
yeah, we can discuss on public comment, but I did share, there was an email, I know some of it was sent. I did share a link to the residents that live in the area. If they do need to report things, it's best to report it to the Department of Developmental Disabilities. So I shared that link with the surrounding residents. Everything does need to be reported. I appreciate that there are videos, but if it's not reported, again, that's why the state police record was so important, because we believe that to be the most accurate record. Unfortunately, if things aren't called in, it's not gonna be on there, but so we encourage you, if there is an issue that you feel is a safety issue, either for the residents that are there or for yourself as our resident, please always make sure it's called in, because otherwise we can't document it. And the key is safety. Well, through that link that I sent.
Okay.
Now, if it's a true emergency and somebody's in the middle of the road, please call 911. But if it's a nuisance or a concern, but if it's like I said, if it's an emergency.
No, they have a firearm.
Then I would have 911.
It's a true emergency.
And then I have one potential litigation, and then they may be duplicates with 2 contract issues with the executive session.
Excuse me, can I end up with litigation too, please?
Sure. So we'll have 2 litigation and 2 potential contracts. A motion for public comment?
Make a motion to open the public comment.
Second. All in favor?
Hi.
So just quickly, with PSA's guidelines, I am obligated to give you this packet, just the things. And there's also, I need a signature that I gave you your packet.
Okay. You good? There you go. No problem. Any other public comment? Rick?
Peter Berger, 134 Blackbrook Road. You know, these ordinances really lose their meaning when they don't apply to everyone. How many times do we have to complain about the truck stop and the illegal dump before somebody does something about it? It's getting ridiculous. So where's the ordinance? Where's the enforcement? Is it a joke? It's becoming a joke because of this. I'm glad, I want everybody to see this on the Zoom, because it still exists.
What is it?
The truck stop on 173. Oh, okay. You don't like that stock there? It's not legal. Oh, okay. It doesn't, not supposed to be there. It's mountain residential.
I said, have you gone back to see that since that photo was taken?
Excuse me?
Have you gone back to see since the photo was taken? When was that photo taken?
This I have one from every month. Which month would you like? I mean, it's all pretty much the same.
I do know the municipal attorney has been in contact with that property owner in the past week.
Here's the last one. And we're about to do another one. I just got a Coast Guard pilot to fly the drone this month. So I'll have another one in another couple of days.
Hopefully you'll see a change. I do know our municipal attorney reached out to that property owner in the past week.
He did?
Yes.
Where is the municipal attorney?
Just go tonight.
Oh, that doesn't look like Mr. Ogrodnik.
Same law firm.
Also, I got a call on the same subject. I filed a complaint against this property with Mr. Mullen, and Mr. Mullen filed it in the court. July of 2022. It's been dragging on in this municipal court or whatever is going on since then. Just recently, I got out a notice saying that they're gonna move the hearing till October and November. But I also got a message on my phone from the court clerk. And she said that if I was unhappy with this stringing it along and dragging it on, I should talk to Mr. Muir. Now, why would you have anything to do with a court case in municipal court?
Yeah, I couldn't answer that question for you either.
I mean, you should check with the clerk, because her telling me that is a no-no.
I have nothing to do with the court.
You shouldn't have anything to do with the court, but if she tells me to see you about it, what can I say? Well, I mean, you should straighten her out.
Yeah,
Just remind her that it's still,
I have no control over the cases, the flow, or anything else.
well, oh, I was wondering, does Mr. Ogrodnik represent the committee or the population of the township? In other words, is he a township attorney or is he a committee attorney?
I'll let you answer it. I guess I have my answer for
The
this.
township attorney, like all attorneys, represent entities that are not people and represent the entity. The way the government works is we are elected representatives. The township attorney provides the advice to the township representatives who are elected to provide legal advice to us. Doesn't work for you directly, but his.
Well, we pay.
Do not interrupt.
Yeah.
You want an answer? Let me
Yes,
finish.
I do.
Mr. Berger?
Yes.
Stop talking. You're gonna let me finish?
Talk on. I like your suit too.
I appreciate that.
Go ahead,
Now, you
talk.
gotta stop talking so I can talk without interruption,
Mhm.
or do you not want an answer and just wanna make art?
No, I just want an answer from you.
Then stop talking.
I will.
You keep doing it. I'll play the game all day. I do it for a living. Mr. Berger, I know you're familiar with the court system. Correct? So the way attorneys work is they represent the representative bodies. We are the people who are elected. Their fiduciary duty, however, is through the law. And that's what Mr. Ogrodnik does. He provides advice to us through the law to ensure that we are being given the best legal advice that he could provide, so that we can enact the government in the manner in which it is intended to be enacted. So no, when people get up and say you work for me to the township attorney, that's incorrect. Township attorney is retained on behalf of the township by the governing body every year for the purposes of giving advice to that governing body. Does that answer your question?
Does
Does that answer your question, Mr. Berger?
that your answer?
Does
Yes.
that answer your question? Can you
Yes.
answer my question?
Sure.
I asked it first.
Go ahead. What do you want?
Does that answer your question?
Yes,
Thank you.
very good. Nice suit.
Thank you.
See you.
What was that, Mr. Burke?
Charlie, my rental on 2 Blossom Road. Where are we at on that contractor's registration? Last meeting, you said there was a little confusion on that.
Yeah, we haven't followed up on
You want a copy of Hampton's? You said you couldn't find it on the internet. I found it on the internet.
it.
No
I think
problem.
we got it.
All right.
Thank you.
Another question I have, at a planning board meeting, somebody brought up and you said you would talk to Mr. Fleming on putting reports in on what he does. There's been a number of us file complaints, and I actually went to Mr. Fleming and asked him on the follow-ups on the complaints. And he says he doesn't do that. He was never directed to do that or nothing. He just files reports on permits that he issues. I think a lot of us would like to know, when we file a complaint, what does he do about it? Because we're not getting anywhere, and that's why we keep asking the questions, because we don't get no answers. And another question I have, who hires him? Who hired Mr. Fleming?
We have a personnel committee that interviews.
Who
makes recommendations.
was it? I'm asking who's the names,
Just Austin and myself.
okay? Because the last meeting I asked you about block 21, lot 1, and you said that, oh, they got an engineer, they're doing this and that, you know, waiting to come in. I went to Mr. Plumbing. He has no idea what's going
I
on
didn't
in
say
that.
that. I said they have an
Yes,
attorney.
you did. You wanna play it
I
back?
said they have an attorney.
No, you said they're getting
I
engineer.
said they had an engineer.
Listen,
Look, I told you they had an attorney.
no.
Yes.
You listen.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
you know, then we're done. Then we're done.
We're done.
Disrespectful, we're done.
no,
Yeah,
I'm
we're
not
done.
respecting. I'm just telling you what you said, word for word.
Motion for closed session.
I'll make a motion to close public session.
Second?
Any other? I think you should ask if there's any other.
Any other public comment, questions? That hasn't been answered every single meeting? Second?
Well, here, can I ask you, are they gonna stop on Charlestown Road, or are they gonna keep going? Like where they did a good job there, they buy Roundsville, they get it down, are they done, are they gonna put more of those nice cement pipes in? I like those, I don't like ditches, I like cement pipes and storm sewers.
So that.
So your first name, please?
Joseph Bridge.
Just come up to the.
I mean, it's not.
Actually, that's a county project, so
Oh, okay.
I don't know, I can find out, I do believe they have a plan to continue some more work.
Oh,
But
they
I
are?
don't know the extent of it is,
All right, yeah, so it's the county,
it is a county road,
yeah, well, they're doing a good job, I like the bridge, I like what they did.
thank you, I'll share that as well. So,
We did well for 24 Charlestown Road, but I don't know if it's total answers, but when I talked to them, they were out surveying the other day. And up ahead, they're gonna be, taking the pavement up and putting new pavement in. So it's at the same grade. He didn't say anything about new drainage going further. I think that by the bridge needed specific drainage.
So they're just stopped at the Mohawk way, they're not gonna go up any further.
I'm not 100% sure. He didn't mention that to me when I was asking what they were surveying out there for. He didn't say anything about new drainage stuff.
Okay.
But maybe they will, I don't know, but they will be, taking up the pavement next year and putting new pavement
Yeah,
down.
that's good.
yeah, eventually they do send us some notification, especially with the detour, but I don't have any specifics at this time.
Yeah, it's always good when they make the improvements like that.
They did a little further down, so I think they're gonna probably meet eventually.
And were they expecting more traffic, I guess? They made it a little, you know, they got rid of the ditches.
It's considered, years ago, our engineer and I went to the county to ask about some traffic mitigation control on Charlestown and certain roads like Charlestown. And then, like Asbury, West Laurel coming up 31 are considered, as they call them, relief roads. So in like the DOT system, those things kind of supersede our control as a municipality, because there's the state county roads. And so they weren't really willing to do that, and there's a whole kind of DOT plan, so I don't know if they're expecting, you know, I think increased use, I would say, definitely. I don't think they're planning on making any other, you know, widening or anything, but definitely increased use as part of the national system.
I guess it's to be expected, right?
It can, yeah, there's more traffic as we go.
I meant to ask if we had a traffic safety official tonight. You may know, did they change that light at Charlestown and 173? They changed the timing of it? Because it does seem that it's easier now. It's longer green on 173, which seems to have alleviated some of the traffic coming off of exit 12.
Yes, it's definitely changed, Judy.
They did, okay, so I'm not imagining it. Okay.
It may have been a response even to the temporary traffic issues.
Yeah, I mean, I just happened to be sitting at it, I went, oh, this light changed a lot faster than I remember, so, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Do a motion to close public, do we have a second? Second. All in favor? Have a motion to enter executive session to discuss, I'm gonna make it 3 litigation now and 2 contract issues.
You're increasing your litigation
Yes.
budget counts?
Yes. I got a motion? Did it?
oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you, committee.
Good night.
Appreciate all your hard work.
Just need a second.
Yeah.
Second.
All in favor?
You coming out of executive session to do any work?
No, there's nothing right
No
there.
action.
Tonight.
Okay, so you want me to shut the bridge down?
You can shut it down, yeah.
Okay.
Excellent.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
They post the meetings, because I missed the 2 weeks ago on the 7th, and it doesn't seem like there's.
So Lou, when do you think you'll?
Yeah, they'll be posted probably tomorrow. If you notice, if you go to the page, you'll see we're doing a new carousel feature to make it easier and faster for all the videos to load. So until that's done, I didn't put the latest video from last week from the planning board or from the township committee up. They'll be up very soon. They've been processed, they've been loaded up to YouTube. They just aren't showing up on the website yet because the website's being the web page in particular is being redone. And we had a lot of intervening problems with other servers last week that stopped us from getting to that work. Very soon it'll be up.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem.
Have a good night.
Good night.